everyone, and welcome to Catherine Reads Midnight Sun in Dutch, Chapter 5. We're gonna butcher this one because uitnodigingen. Uitnodigingen. There's too many G's in it. Oh man, I was doing so well with reading, and then I just took a week off, which was a gigantic mistake because I can't take a week off from reading. I can't. I was having such a difficult time just getting into the chapter, and I had no idea what was going on because I couldn't remember the 4 other chapters that I read. And it's so irritating because sometimes it does happen in English. All I need to do is sort of skim the last chapter and I remember what I read. I don't have the ability to skim in Dutch. And as I was reading it, I was having these moments of expression and spirit of the language, so I thought we could talk about that and we could rant. And particularly, I think if you're a native English speaker, when you learn another language, learning those expressive differences can be so jarring because there are tenses in English that just don't exist in other languages. For example, the continuous tenses, all of them, which, you know, as native English speakers, we love. But aside from that, there's this huge issue with the simple past and the present perfect. For example, I lived in France for 10 years. I went to France in the past, I lived there, and I do not live there anymore. Therefore, it is complete living there. Then you have the present perfect. I have lived in Belgium for 3 years. So I moved to Belgium 3 years ago, and I'm still living and will continue living in Belgium for the foreseeable future. Now, the issue with these particular tenses is that they're not used the same way in Dutch and English. And I know how they're used in English. I don't want to say hands down, this is how it's done in Dutch, because I'm not a Dutch teacher, but I do remember learning this in Dutch class, that in instances where we would use the simple past, it's probably more appropriate in Dutch to use the present perfect. I don't have specific examples from the book because I think that would really involve comparing the Dutch version to the English version, and I don't want to do that. I want to work on understanding my Dutch, but this is something that while I was reading, I was a bit inspired by this because I was thinking, I can't imagine there being this much present perfect in the original English version. Either way, even if there was, which I don't know if that would be a good example using this book because it's an English book that has been translated into Dutch. I don't know, but I do have the perfect example of just everyday life stuff that happens with me and Prince Charming. Because Prince Charming will ask our children in Dutch, heb je je tanden gepoetst? Which is, have you brushed your teeth? Which is grammatically correct. It's perfect. It's an acceptable sentence. However, I typically would ask our children in English, did you brush your teeth? They both work. They both sort of result in the same type of answer, yes or no. But what is interesting is that if you translate both of these sentences, did you brush your teeth and have you brushed your teeth, they get translated to the same sentence in Dutch. There's so much that I'm understanding, but I made an effort this chapter because it was really boring to really look at the verbs and figure out which tense they're in. When I was doing that, I noticed that there was so much present perfect, but in my head I was translating it to simple past. Now that we got the boring grammar out of the way, if you're still here, now you know how I felt reading this chapter because man, it was... There's so much I forgot about Dutch. And reading it is just, it's bringing it all back, specifically with the verb worden, which means to get or to become. It's not just a verb. It's a finite verb that can be used with other verbs in a sentence to make it passive. And the example that I have for you guys. You get to listen to me butcher some Dutch. Het was duidelijk dat zij niet eens had geweten waar de Comic-Con gehouden werd. The important little bit was gehouden werd, because that makes it a passive sentence. I remember learning this and just being so annoyed because that means if you're writing in English, you need to be aware of whether or not your sentences are in passive or not. And it just involves so much thinking. I had a word that completely tripped me up while I was reading. Ik had stiekem te veel lol om zijn ellende. But the thing that just really tripped me up was te veel lol. I was wondering, did she translate that from laugh out loud? Because that's what LOL means. And I don't recall ever seeing lol when I was working on Dutch. I don't like it. And guys, I have my favorite sentence from the chapter. And I don't know why, it's funny. Het verspilden van energiebronnen had iedereen aan. And I just love that sentence because there's so much going on with it. For a really boring chapter, I feel like grammatically I was reminded of so much stuff. And so I feel like I learned a lot. I just didn't have an enjoyable time reading any of it because it was boring and I was just getting annoyed by all the stuff that I forgot and how dumb the spirit of the language is. I hate that. Anywho, that's what I have for you guys this week. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. By the way, if this is maybe the second or third video of mine that you've watched, hit the subscribe button. We can be friends. Also, I love hearing from you guys, so say hello in the comments below and I'll see you guys in the next video. Tot ziens, mijn appelziens. De middelbare school. Het was het vagewoord niet meer. Het was nu ronduit de hel. Vurige kwellingen die onderhing ik hier inderdaad. Actually, is it inderdaad? I know you Belgians don't know how to pronounce these.